Well, good morning there, Crossover listeners. Crossover Radio, it is radio with a purpose, and this is a very, very special edition of your morning drive right here on Crossover Radio. It is 8:30 right here on the East Coast. It is 7:30 in the Central where you guys are located. Currently right now, 63 and partly cloudy in Washington, D.C., 70 degrees and cloudy in Oklahoma City. We hope you have a great day planned. It is Thursday, and that means it's Friday Eve. All right, Crossover Radio has been live in Washington, D.C. this week. Myself and Phil here for the National Immigration Forum. We have gotten to connect with a lot of really great people through this process. By the way, one of them, Phil, is standing in the door.
Oh my gosh.
Allie's a rock star.
She is absolutely incredible. So here's the thing. A senator is only good as their staff, and Allie has absolutely been just gracious and professional and capable. We could not say too much about the staff that Senator Lankford has in his office, and coordinating with Miss Allie over here to have her help us get into the senator's office and have this interview. She has been a pleasure to work with, and I just simply can't say enough about that.
Well, you know, I'll say this: if you're an Oklahoman, you need to be proud of the staff that you have here representing you on Capitol Hill. And you know, we've been in a couple of different offices, and I'm telling you right now, we went into a lot of offices yesterday.
That's
Phil.
right.
Not just Oklahomans, but other guys as well. Some of those guys you would recognize: Ted Cruz, Trey Gowdy of South Carolina.
That's right.
You know, some of those big names. I'm telling you right now, Senator Inhofe and Senator Lankford's offices were absolutely the most hospitable. They took time to speak with us yesterday, and we were grateful for that. It was just 110% here in Washington, D.C. So if you see the news and you watch the national news and you're leery and you're like, oh my goodness, what the corruption in Washington and this and that and the other, I'm telling you right now, stop by your senator's offices.
That's right.
Here in Washington, if you're up this way, because you'll be met with nothing more than an Oklahoma smile, a cold glass of water, and man, it's incredible.
That's exactly correct. I mean, we should be proud of the fact that hiring good people and surrounding yourself with good people is a hallmark of good leadership.
Absolutely,
and that is exactly what our experience has been. Obviously, we've had more connection with Senator Lankford's office, but definitely have had some connection with Senator Inhofe's office as well. And we're just, I mean, honestly, Oklahoma is my adopted state, and this is part of the reason is because of the people and the leadership that has been exemplified from Capitol Hill.
Amazing leadership here representing Oklahoma, and we couldn't be more proud as Okies to be up here and be engaging with those folks. I tell you what, it is a big privilege for Crossover Radio to be here live. We are actually in Senator Lankford's Chief of Staff office this morning.
That's right, yeah. And I saw Jeremy making himself comfortable. I was like, yeah, I can do this.
Oh, yeah. No, this is a nice chair.
Bring me the decisions.
That's right. Bring me all your choices.
That's right. I will make it the best one.
That's right.
No, I mean,
only for you.
No, only for you. I mean, so real quick, let's just do some flybys of kind of everything that we saw yesterday here in 5 minutes. So we're about 4 minutes away from having Senator Lankford in here.
Absolutely.
First of all, like I said, this is the people that we've interacted with the National Immigration Forum, and the people that we've interacted with on Capitol Hill. They are in touch with the issues. And,
yeah, they are.
And the people, the faith leaders that we've surrounded ourselves with the National Immigration Forum and the Evangelical Immigration Table, we hit on it last night in kind of our recap from the hotel room, but I just want to reiterate this.
Yeah.
That is a room full of thoughtful and committed people who the kingdom is at the forefront. And
yes.
That's important because those people, man, the horsepower in that room was just simply incredible.
Oh man, life changers, world shakers.
No, and
you know what I mean.
I mean, we were riding the metro back to our hotel, and I made the comment to you is that the people in this room bend history. And that's exactly what we're looking to do. We're looking to bend history when it comes to advocating for Dreamers and for Daca, and that's why we're so excited to have Senator Lankford here coming in as soon as he can to talk exactly about that, to talk about his the bill that he has co-sponsored with Senator Tillis from North Carolina. To talk about Dreamers. We had a chance yesterday to speak with one of his staffers who has the immigration reform on his portfolio. And one of the things I asked him is do you have pride of authorship? And he's like, listen, this is something that we want to see done. Okay, we believe that this is the right thing. This is not a political football for us. We're ready to make big decisions, and so we're going to ask him about that. And I'm excited about the question I'm going to ask Senator Lankford about that. And I think it's going to reiterate what we already know.
Sure. Absolutely, and man, we learned a lot yesterday. It was all really, really good stuff, and just like you said, the amount of incredible, intelligent, sharp individuals here that we've connected with this week has just been absolutely incredible.
And so I was thinking about that. So I was thinking about our role here at the National Immigration Forum, and then walking around Capitol Hill, and then having the opportunity to literally pop into representatives and senators' offices to talk to them. The democratic process and the process that's set up by our constitutional republic is alive and well. But it requires our engagement, and the people that we've interacted with are ready to engage.
Yes.
And so really, I mean, one of the things that I was thinking about is that if we decry that, democracy is dead and it's the end of the republic and stuff like that, well, the truth of the matter is that that is only so if we disengage, and if we do not participate in the democratic process, which includes visiting those that we elected to represent us in the halls of power, and to share with them what our priorities are. And we saw that with our role with the National Immigration Forum, with our role in going to different offices, and just walking around the Capitol, seeing people exercising their right to assemble and their right to protest. We saw the truckers.
Right.
We saw a bunch of truckers yesterday advocating for a piece of legislation that they want that they believe that would help them out. We saw the Save the Arctic protest, which seems to have been there since, I guess, forever. And we saw people, engaging in their congressmen and senators one-on-one at the Hill, outside the Hill. You were fortunate enough, so we stumbled across like a press conference, like a pickup press conference.
Yes.
Hey, let's get together and have that. You stumbled across that with Senators Graham and Durbin.
Right.
And you got a question then.
Yeah, no, and you know what? What I learned about these D.C. press conferences that happen like that is you better be quick on the draw with your questions, because if you're not, you get run over.
That's right, by the alphabet soup.
That's right.
I think we upset one of the national affiliates.
Definitely did, because she was like, "Why are you standing on top of my camera?" Well,
because we are press too.
That's right. We're here. All good things. So hey, just real quick, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to share this video, like, share, and comment. We definitely want you to do that. So go ahead and pass that around. If you're listening on the radio, go ahead and share that you're listening, either on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, however you want to do it. Screenshot it and let people know. All the good ways to let people know that you're listening to this. And like we said, the senator will be in shortly, and we'll be discussing not only the Succeed Act and what his work in that, but we've got a listener question for him. I know that for a fact.
We got one listener question for him that we're very excited about.
Yes.
We might be breaking some news.
Some big news.
Right here on Crossover Radio.
Absolutely.
So you definitely want to stick around for that. If that happens, if he answers the way that I hope he does, then it's going to be big news, and he's in the doorway.
That's right.
He's right here with us.
Well, good stuff. Well, good morning.
Good morning to you. Glad to be able to be with you.
Senator, thank you so much for joining us and allowing us the opportunity to take some of your time. We really do appreciate it.
Sure. Glad to be able to do it. Glad to be able to work out early morning to be able to make some time to have some good conversation.
So my first moment with James Lankford was 2007 at Falls Creek, and you were getting your hands dirty in the morning sessions building pottery.
Sure.
For Spin.
That's right.
And then from there, I went straight into youth ministry, and you know, obviously enjoyed the work that you did at Falls Creek, and you know, us being Oklahoma boys, we grew up with it, you know, and so that's all good stuff. But the first question I've got for you, and this is just something that I've been thinking a lot about, going from that and dealing with students and you know, running the conference center and stuff like that. How has entering into, and I think it would be safe to say that this is a ministry for you.
It is a ministry.
How has this ministry differed from what you thought it would be when you first got into it?
Well, the setup joke that I have that my wife has heard a million times is working with juveniles for that many years prepared me to work in conference. But the interesting thing is all the families, everything that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and doing youth ministry for 22 years and serving in the camp setting, problem solving, all those things, actually transitions into this world better than most people would think. Now, no one would say, if you really want to be a U.S. Senator, be a youth pastor first.
Right, yeah. That's not the natural progression.
There's no progression.
Right.
But that has absolutely prepared me for this task, because most of the conversations that I have outside of the committee hearing are with individuals that'll say, I've got my families together, my finances are together, I've been elected, or I'm in this position, or I'm on this staff, but I've never dealt with the spiritual side of life.
Wow.
Can I have a conversation with you about that?
Wow.
That kind of conversation happens around the hallways all the time here. So glad to be a part of that part of the real ministry that's happening here, plus the legislative work. Just a Christian for me personally, coming from a Christian worldview, I believe if you're ever going to be effective in ministry, you've got to be good at your job first. Because if you're good at your task, that opens up opportunities for a conversation. If you're not good at your job, or if you're slack in your work, as the Proverbs say, then then no one listens to you because they know that you're not good at your work. So you can't say, I'm going to speak out as a follower of Christ, but I can't do my job well, because you're doing a poor job is so loud to most people that they won't hear anything else that you have to say.
For sure, for sure.
So, Senator, Jeremy and I are here for the National Immigration Forum, and then we've been invited by the Evangelical Immigration Table. Our friend Alan Cross has brought us out here to advocate and to lobby the Hill on behalf of Dreamers specifically. Right. You and Senator Tillis of North Carolina have recently made news on that front. Talk to us about the Succeed Act and how it differs from the Dream Act, because as I understand from your staff, it starts with Dreamers and it ends in citizenship. It's the center that that really has differences between the Succeed Act and the Dream Act.
Most people that I talk to, and again, it's not all, most people that I talk to would say those individuals that came here as children, we do not hold children accountable for the actions of their parents. They came here when they were 2 years old. Many of them grew up thinking they were citizens, and their parents told them when they were 16, 17, 18 years old, when they started talking about going to college, and they said, hey, by the way, when you apply for college, you can't get scholarships and everything else because we're not citizens here. Wow. If many dreamers that I've talked to, that's the same story that they get, because their parents wanted them to have as normal of a life as possible, and they didn't know that they weren't citizens. So they don't know a home country where they were born. They're not citizens of this country. They're stuck in between. They grew up here. They went to school here, all of those things. So the question is, what do we do with them? Right. Some folks will say, just deport them all. Everybody's going to get deported. Most people I talk to say, no, we want them to stay. It's trying to figure out how do we do this in a legal way. So we start with this basic premise. If you're moving from Mexico or Central America to the United States and you're going to go through the process legally, it'll take about 15 to 18 years to be able to do that legal process. So to be able to put everyone in line and to say we're going to put you in the same line as everyone else, but we're not going to ask you to be able to return to home country. But we do want you to have legal status here. We don't want you to have to live in fear all the time. Sure. We take those individuals that qualify for what's called Daca now, the Dream Act. These are individuals that came to the United States before 2012.
Yeah, the deferred action for childhood arrivals.
That's correct. So when President Obama announced that in 2012, he was very clear to say everyone coming after this doesn't qualify. But from this point forward, for those that are already here, here's what we're going to do. And he gave them what's called deferred action. We take that same group of folks and to say, if you are in school, or if at work, or join the military, you have no criminal record, your taxes are paid up, then you can apply and to be able to get a 5-year conditional status. That gives you legal residency for 5 years. You can renew that at the end of 5 years, have the same thing again. You got to work, be in school, be in the military, have no criminal record, pay your taxes. At the end of that second 5-year time period, you can then apply and get a green card. That green card is legal permanent residency that's here. They could stay in that status forever if they want to do that, or at an additional 5 years, they could actually get naturalization. That 15-year time period is about what it would take to do the legal process from overseas. We're creating the same process here, but you've got to earn the right to be able to be here.
And so that's one of the questions I've heard when I've talked to people about the Succeed Act is why so long to 15 years? And so the baseline is that, well, if they were coming in from overseas, it would take 15 years anyway, correct. So why expedite the process?
Correct. And when I talk to Dreamers and I say, what is your big issue? Obviously, they would love to become citizens here. Obviously, everyone in the world would love to be a citizen in the United States. They'd love to be citizens here, but their first request is, we want to go to school, we want to work, we want to be able to travel internationally. A lot of them are students and they want to be able to do foreign exchange programs and such. They want to be able to travel to other countries and be able to come back. They can't do that now. This would allow for all of that during that entire 15-year period. So they'd have all the rights to be able to work, go to school, join the military, travel, just like you were a legal citizen here, but you're not. You've got to be able to earn the right to be able to get to that spot.
Sure. So this is somewhat of a long question or a lead up, so please forgive me. And so I believe that there's kind of a middle 60 of the country that is, you know, somewhere in the spectrum between moderately conservative, moderately liberal, just 60% of the people who just go about their business, they live their lives, they pay their taxes, they raise their families, they do their work. And that they're, you know, oftentimes though, when we see what's happening here in Washington, D.C., and what's being presented on the media and presented by our leaders, it often feels like to the middle 60 that we're being governed by the outer 20s. Okay, because of that, I think there's a craving in the country right now for Congress to do something both significant and bipartisan. Howard Dean tweeted out talking about the Succeed Act, and I know that you and him pulling on the same ropes probably like foreign territory, right? He said, Senators Lankford and Tillis have a dreamer bill that is a good step. We need to find common ground with the GOP on this. 780,000 people depend on this. So here's my question. Do you believe that the Succeed Act can be that big bipartisan piece that kind of instills hope with the country and that says, hey, yeah, we have differences, but on big things, we can still come together as a country and solve big things?
So we can solve big things. The problem is we don't ever get in the room and work it out and stay in that room until we work it out. And that's my greatest frustration of being here in the Senate, is we'll bring something up, we'll debate it, it fails, and we'll just move on. And I want to say, whoa, real life is not like that.
Right.
Okay, if my kids are having an argument, we don't just say, can't be solved, let's go on. We stay there until we work it all out and get it worked out, give a hug at the end and go forward. We never seem to do that here. And I'm not talking about the hug because that'd be a little creepy, right? But to be able to get in the same room, stay there until we get it all worked out and get it resolved.
Is that a positive part of the timeline that President Trump put on this? Is that it's forcing legislation to happen?
It is actually. I've said to a lot of people, the reason immigration hasn't been addressed for the past several decades is there's no deadline.
Right.
The Congress only works on deadlines. If there's no deadline to resolve something, especially if it's hard, like immigration is, and very heated, there's no question. Every time we start talking about immigration, somebody starts screaming, jackbooted thugs taking Latina grandmothers out of their homes, and at the same time somebody's screaming amnesty on everything, and it just gets really loud in it and very divisive. And a lot of folks that are not political people that just say, hey, we need to just solve this. Somebody come up with a solution to solve it and resolve it. It becomes a very big issue. When President Trump first announced, in 6 months I'm going to end this program, I want a legislative solution, Tom Tillis and I were already in the process of working this through, but we really went in earnest on it and pushed it forward. As soon as we laid out some of the parameters on that, President Trump called me late at night and called me on my cell phone. We talked at length about this, and he said that's exactly what I'm looking for. It's a legislative solution. It provides an option for these individuals. How can I help you? It has to be attached to border security. He was very clear about that, which I agree as well. We've got to resolve secure borders. But he said, what can I do to be able to help you in the process? So this shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be an issue where we find the common ground, because there is common ground.
Right.
and to say, let's resolve this issue, because there's a lot of issues on the other side of it.
Because I think taking care of folks like dreamers here in the United States, it is almost a biblical thing, isn't it?
It's a challenging biblical principle, because when you're taking care of the guest in your homeland, that's an Old Testament principle. Right?
Sure.
You're taking care of those individuals. It wasn't. You didn't get from the Old Testament principle that you immediately make them Israelites, but it was you're going to honor the guest that's in your midst. You're not going to abuse them.
Right. Right.
And so we have this real fine line that every country, including ancient Israel, had their own citizenship.
Right.
Every country in the world, you're a citizen of some country when you're born. You have rights and privileges in that country, and in every other country you're a guest. One of the first things we've got to do legislatively is make sure none of these individuals are being trafficked in persons, none of these individuals are being abused, treated like slaves. And for many of the illegal citizens that come to the United States, when they get here with no documentation, no paperwork, they get to their first job, it doesn't work out, and then they're abused by their second job.
Right.
Because they know, hey, I can just report you. If you cause me a problem, I'll pay you less, I'll treat you worse. And if you don't like it, then I'll just report you. So that is unfair treatment and injustice there.
And that sends people into desperate situations. And I mean, I've heard you speak about human trafficking and how as much it is a pro-life issue, and that's why Ryan and myself and Jeremy view this as we describe ourselves as comprehensively pro-life. That's womb to tomb, and we view this because of the susceptibility of desperate people that put in desperate situations, or the possibility of them being sent back to a country that they don't know and perhaps get scooped up by the drug cartels, things like that.
Let me mention one thing. In El Salvador, I was visiting there a couple of years ago and visiting with all their leaders. They're embarrassed that individuals have to come illegally to the United States to be able to work. They want their economy to work in El Salvador. And the biggest issue they have with gangs and with violence there, they will tell you flat out, is because the dads leave the country and they come to the United States to work, and there are no dads present all over the country.
Wow.
And so they're dealing with gang violence, they're dealing with all kinds of other problems in their economy. So it's a big issue, has to be resolved.
So I have two more questions. One's a short one and one's a long one. So the first question regarding the Succeed Act, what is the biggest pushback that you've seen from opponents? I imagine that amnesty is probably one that probably is at least in the top two. So
the biggest pushback from some individuals will say, I don't want those individuals to ever have a right to ever be citizens, ever. Because they came here illegally. My issue is their parents did, and I have a problem with their parents becoming legal citizens. Now, some of them may be able to earn their right to have some kind of residency to be able to stay and work here, but not to be citizens. But for the kids, I think it is different for them. And so I get a pushback from some people saying it's too much amnesty, I want everybody deported. On the other side, I have people say it takes too long. I don't want them to have to wait in line like everyone else.
Sure.
So this is a spot that in many ways is that middle ground, to be able to say what is a conservative solution to solve this, but does finally get to a real solution on it.
So we have opened it up, man, and we appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you so much. It's very gracious.
Incredible for a small streaming station out of Bethany, America, right?
It's the center of the universe. It's simple time.
That's right. That's right. So we opened it up and we asked our listeners over the last couple of days when we knew we were going to do this interview, hey, what's one question that you would like to ask Senator Lankford? And the one that we kept getting over and over and over again, and we're ready to break the news right now.
Yeah, if you're ready to break news here on Crossover Radio, we're ready to have you use our platform.
That's right. So if you would like to go ahead and officially announce your candidacy for President of the United States, not soon or anything like that. I mean,
2024,
something like that. We are absolutely willing to be that place that you could do that. So everybody's asking, is he going to run for president?
No. I would just tell you, my wife calls this life's greatest interruption, what we're already doing.
Oh, wow.
Because we really felt called to be able to do this, and this is what God's told us to do. We're going to do this job. There is a long-running joke that every senator every morning gets up, looks in the mirror, and sees a future president.
Sure.
That's right.
But I get up and see a redhead that needs to comb his hair.
That's funny because my wife has looked at me as like, listen, there's no universe that exists where you run for office and continue to be married to me. So I can appreciate that.
It's good counsel. I've said to Cindy oftentimes, I came into this job married. I'd like to leave it married as well. So.
Well, Senator Lankford, we appreciate your time this morning, and thank you for spending a few minutes of your time with us. And we're praying for you and the job you're doing here, and we're excited about the Succeed Act and excited about the things that you're doing in this ministry.
Well, thanks. We're going to try to stay on that.
And I want to take a personal liberty. I want to compliment you, and we did it earlier on the air. Your staff has been absolutely
unbelievable,
and that is a testament to your leadership. And you should be very proud of the people that you've hired in your office, because they have been top notch.
Yeah, it's a great team, and it's interesting to me the number of people that'll catch me and will say there's this group of staff that work with you that represent Oklahoma extremely well. People know my name because I end up on TV on different press things. They don't meet the other folks that are on the staff often enough. But there's a tremendous group of people that work in Oklahoma and Washington, D.C. representing Oklahoma, that they work their tail off all the time for the state. And most people never get a chance to meet them, but they're really great folks.
And a testament to that, and I want to say this, so after the president announced the revocation of DACA, I actually called your Oklahoma City office, and the person I can't remember who I talked to, but a compliment to her is that she had a working knowledge of the issue, or working knowledge of your positions, was ready to take my questions. Whereas the other offices that I called were like, "We'll log your comment." And so the fact that it impressed upon me that I've told countless people is like, listen, we may not agree eye to eye on every issue, but his staff is absolutely prepared to answer constituents' questions, and again, a testament to your leadership.
All right. Well, this has been our exclusive interview with Senator Lankford of Oklahoma. We appreciate him popping in. We'll be back in about, we got to let the senator run. He's got a very busy schedule today. We'll be back in about 2 minutes just to wrap up briefly. You are listening to Crossover Radio. This is Radio with a Purpose. Welcome back to Crossover Radio. It is Radio with a Purpose right here. Yeah. We are live in Washington, D.C. Just finishing up in Senator Lankford's office here, actually in Greg's office.
That's right.
The chief of staff.
You know, no big deal.
No big deal.
Hey, it's good to be king. I mean, we're just stealing offices and everything like that. So
yeah, I could get used to this.
yeah. Bring me the
all
things.
Good stuff. All good stuff. All right, let's debrief quickly so these folks can get on about their day. Glad we got the senator out before Allie was like yanking him away.
Yeah, no, that'd be embarrassing. And it's like mid-question is. Mr. Senator, we've got to go.
Yeah.
No.
Things to do.
So here's the thing: and as I said to the senator, here's the thing. I'm a little bit of a paradox, when it comes to politics and theology. Is that trying to pin me down on like, oh, he's conservative, he's liberal, whatever, is like trying to nail Jello to the wall. And as I said, I don't agree with the senator on everything that he stands for, but I respect the fact that he's willing to sit down and engage not only with his constituents, but with people across the aisle to find solutions. And that, we need statesmen in this town more than ever, in my opinion. And in my opinion, Oklahoma, you got a statesman.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a statesman, and he is absolutely an incredible guy. By the way, if you guys would on Facebook, if you would like, share, and comment on this video, pass it along, because I'm telling you right now that was the fastest 20 minutes, but they were good 20 minutes, and so we would appreciate you guys passing that along, because we know that folks need to hear this. They need to hear that you've got a guy who is willing to do the bipartisan work.
That's right.
And be willing to reach across the aisle and do the things it's going to take to make a difference for not only immigration, but for our country and for our state. So any final comments, Phil, before we get out of here?
Well, and that's exactly right. That he's willing to do the hard job of sitting, exactly that, sitting kneecap to kneecap. One of the things I respect about the senator is the story that came out earlier this year about how he and Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina have dinners together and talk about the issues and reach consensus and reach compromise and to do big things. And we asked them, is this the big thing? Is this the big bipartisan thing to demonstrate that we as Americans can still do the big thing? And he believes absolutely that it is. But once again, it's going to take us. It's going to take us engaging in the issue. The United States civically, it is a doctorate in civics. All right, it is a doctorate in freedom, and because of that, it requires work. It requires work as us as citizens, not only of the country but of the kingdom, and to advocate for principles that Scripture teaches us to be the voice in the public square, representing the gospel as ambassadors of the King. Awesome, awesome. All right, well, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Once again, thank you so much to Senator Lankford's office.
That's right.
A special thank you to Allie for coordinating and allowing us to be here and waking up early to unlock the doors in the office for us.
That's right.
We greatly appreciate
Starbucks in hand.
I tell you what, because coffee runs this town. I guarantee you
That's
that.
right.
But anyways, for Jeremy Coleman, my name is Phillip Larsen. You've been listening to an exclusive crossover radio interview with Senator James Lankford.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us. Join us later today as we continue to work with the Evangelical Immigration Table and the Immigration Forum. We'll probably go live there too and get some more interviews. So definitely keep tuned in today, all day. Big things are happening here in Washington, D.C.
That's right. All right. Well, we love you guys and love God, love each other passionately, no strings attached, and we are